We are starting 2 point English 256 drama and drama, theory and history, European drama and Indian drama. For this, we will start book 1, drama, theory and history. Understanding drama, okay, 2.56. See, we are having this drama definition and element, theater, kinds of drama, major periods and moments. Okay. In background one, Julius Caesar is there, the tragedy of Julius Caesar and characterization. And then the structure, critical content, and then book 3 is Indian drama. Okay. Book 1 is only a drama where we are going to learn theory and history. In this theaters, kinds of theaters are there, how drama was being introduced. You will, while learning, you will go, we will try to start the drama. Theory and history drama book 1. Okay. Yes. Objectives, the drama. In this 0.1 objective, after reading this unit, you will be able to understand the definition of drama, to make a list of elements that constitutes it, and what are the elements which we are going to see according while learning the drama section, to read and to interpret dramatic literature, how is been drama in that how literature is used while making a drama, how drama is been read, how it is interpreted. Okay. The present course is divided into 3 books. The first deals with the theory and history of drama. The second and the third concentrate on the study of individual texts. Drama is one of the major genres, kinds of drama of literature. Aristotle 384 to 322 BC. The father of Western criticism classified poetry. Today, we would use the world literature instead into 3 kinds: the dramatic, the narrative, and the lyrical. Like all classical thinkers of time, thinkers, for him, the dramatic was the greatest form of literature. Drama is impersonal. The dramatist does tell a story, but not like the storyteller or a novelty. The storyteller or the narrator tells a story directly, just as the storyteller or the narrator tells a story directly, just as the lyric poet who expresses his feeling and ideas. The dramatist creates men and women who speaks to each other and form this communication. We gather the story of their life. The term drama is derived from the Greek word darien, which means to do. So the word drama would means doing and by extension showing what men and women do. That is how they speak, how they treat each other, interact, etc. Persons in real life actors play the part of men and women created characters by the dramatist. In all cultures, drama seems to have originated in religious ritual. This is equally true of many parts art forms. Rituals are a sequence of acts performed with a certain discipline for the participant or the believer who performs the ritual. It is scared or an act of devotion. But for an outsider or a non-believer, this sequence of acts seems interesting and entertaining. Take, for instance, some performing puja or series of events that characterize a wedding ceremony. Earliest drama in its poorly developed state was not only part of ritual but deeply related to festivals associated with gods. Thus, yearly drama in England was part of church and mainly concerned with God. Thus, early drama is in England was part of church and family, concerned with religious, church and family, concerned with instructions. Early drama depended heavily on mythology and stories for the Holy Bible. It was much later that drama became secular and began to despite this worldly concern. Aristotle wrote a precised a book dealing with a subject systematically, a tragedy called poetic. It deals with the principle that contributes to the constitutive composition of tragedy. We do not know whether Aristotle composed the it is in the or in which it has come down to us. Many believe that the drama in the nature of notes his students must have jotted down. This secrets problems of interpretation. We have to depend on intelligence, guesswork to understand Aristotle's ideas. Thank you to the scholarly work done down centuries. We have a sizable body of interpretation which gives us a family fairly detailed account of what he had to say. He also proposed to talk or comedy and perhaps intended to write a companion literaries. But it is not expand, therefore subsequent treatment of comedy, at least its terms of theory had to suffer. Aristotle had defined tragedy and analysis its constitutive elements. His treatment has never been bettered. What he had said about tragedy has clarified our ideas about drama in general. Our thinking about drama goes to a lot of Aristotle and a large number measure is deprived from his précis formulations. What he had to say on tragedy, we will study in the unit 3. Here we will articulate ourselves with 6 elements which according to him a dramatic text possible. Okay. So this is how we are going to do the Aristotle's what he has uh, imagined during his lessons. So now in plot, what is a plot? Concept of idea. As a concept of idea and as a principle of making a construction of term plot has lost its importance in criticism today. But unless we understand its meaning is critically discussion, we will never able to explain the change. Plot is the English equivalent of Aristotle's mythos. Every often it is also translated as fable or story. For the sake of clarity, however, we need to distinguish story from plot, not a very easy task. Let us examine if the dictionary meaning helps. In English, plot means a small piece of ground plan of a building as a verb. To plot means to lay out in plots to make a plan, to represent by a graph, to conspire, etc. We must note that the term plot, as we use it in relation to drama or narrative, in general retains some of these meanings down the centuries. These meanings were extended, refined, and thus gradually assumed the status of a critical concept. For our purpose, plot then means plan, scheme, organization, pattern, or arrangement. In a narrative or a drama, there are events or incidents described. Plot may be defined as a pattern of events. They have events are organized, arranged, or structured. Plot therefore has to do with internal relation of event or the way incidents are combined or unified to produce on organic whole. A story also has events, but they may be unconnected or may refer only to time sequence. They have to be shaped or formed into a plot. A dramatist or a novelist transforms a story into a plot. E.M. Foster is the aspect of the novel. Attempt a distinction between a story and a plot. Take the pairs of sentences, for instance, the king died, the queen died. Now compare this into two more sentences that follow. The king died, the queen could not control her grief, and she also died. See how the plot is being described. Now, further, the first and the second pair narrate similar events in the first because the second sentence follows the first. We conclude that the queen perhaps died after the king. The sentence put the event of the death in a certain time sequence or relate themselves to chronology. See now here, we will see that after reading all the part in this drama, how drama is being actually written in within, if you have only a simple idea, how the story is being plotted, you will get idea after reading this concept. So please try to understand very carefully and very, it is an interesting part. You will enjoy this. The second pair of sentence is related to the principle of causality. That is, the second event was caused by the first or was the effect of the first. Means how actually a story is narrative of events arranged in their time sequence. A plot is also a narrative of events, the emphasis in falling on casualty. Okay. So unless and until you will learn, unless and until if you will go through this again and again, then only you will see it. Unless and until your concept is clear from your mind, you have to go through your own this thing. Okay, still we will be reading while our lecture is going. We can take any number, for example, of plot from literature, narrative or dramatic. Let us listen to a fairly popular series of events. King B carried away the wife of King A. King A attacked King B. A long drawn out battle was fought. King B was defeated. King A rescued his wife and came back to the kingdom. In essence, the above mentioned sequence of the event informs. You must have already guessed the world famous epic poems, Valmiki's Ramayana and Homer's Odyssey. Okay, but now two poems could be different because their plots are different. History, the nature of the people, their institutions, their religion, their way of looking at the world and their language are some of the factors which contribute to their difference. The two poems belongs the different cultures. All these factors taken together account of their dissimilarity. Okay. म्हणजे याच्या प्लॉट मध्ये एखादी गोष्ट आपल्याला जेव्हा आपण पाहतो की त्यातले जे बारकावे जे आपण पाहत असतो नेहमी, तर ते आपल्याला या धड्यात प्लॉट ड्युरिंग लर्निंग द ड्रामा ह्याच्यामध्ये आपल्याला शिकायला मिळतात. ओके, बारकावे याच्यामध्ये जे काही ड्रामामध्ये ऍक्ट केलेले असतात या मुळे आपण शिकू शकतो. ओके, की हे कसं आपल्याला ड्रामा बघताना, ऐकताना, वाचताना हे लक्षात आलं. पॉप्युलर फिल्म्स वी सो ऑफन एन्जॉय, म्हणजे थोडक्यात आपण एखादी फिल्म बघतो, वी कॅन ड्रॉ अ जनरल कन्क्लुजन. आपण बघू शकतो की फ्रॉम दिस ऑब्झर्वेशन ब्रॉडली स्पीकिंग स्टोरीज, आपण गोष्टी काय ऐकतो अँड फायनाइट आर लिमिटेड इन नंबर्स. ओके, प्लॉट्स कुड बी इनफायनाइट ऑर लिमिटलेस, म्हणजे छोटीशी सुद्धा असते आणि मोठी सुद्धा असते, किंवा न संपणारी सुद्धा असते. इवन events of situation, that events lead up to are bound to be limited, but their interpretations, the relationships left or invented to understand the significance have no limit. The richest spring have life itself and the human imagination brought to bear an perception of their meaning. We can appreciate, therefore, Aristotle focused on plot when we said that plot is the soul of tragedy. म्हणजे आत्मा आहे त्या गोष्टीचा, असं जे म्हणतो की इट इज अ सोल ऑफ ट्रॅजेडी. ओके, म्हणजे रहस्य जे म्हणतो हाऊ इट इज अ पार्ट ऑफ काव्याचा आत्म काय आहे, की त्याच्यात आपण हे फोकस केलेलं आहे प्लॉटमध्ये. प्लॉट, Aristotle says that he focuses that on plot when we said that plot is a soul of tragedy. Okay, see, action in drama. आता आपण ऍक्शन कडे जाऊया. की जनरल एखादी मूवी आपण एक बघतोय आणि एन्जॉय करतोय, अशातला हा प्रकार आहे की हाऊ इट इज बीन. You take any movie in front of your eyes and you are seeing the movie and you are enjoying that movie. It is like that. So you will come across while we are going. Action in drama. आता जसं की ऍक्शन कशी घेतली जाते. Action in drama, as Aristotle pointed out, is completely in itself. It is a whole, therefore it has a beginning, okay, a middle and the end. At some points the action begins, gathers monuments, that is complications enters and there is a development of some kind. It reaches a peak point technical called the climax, followed by a crisis or the turning point of reversal, what Aristotle termed a perpetuity. This leads to the final outcome, failure of or death of the central character. Okay, the catastrophe, according to Aristotle, reversal or uh, anarchis. Analogous. To explain these stages of development of action, we can take the example of Oedipus, the king by Cyclosophocles, 496 to 406 BC, which incidentally Aristotle considered an idea tragedy. The drama opens with Oedipus, the king at the height of their power and prosperity, married to Jocasta, the widow of the dead king of the beast, Thebes. He has two sons and daughters. The city is struck by plague and the people urge upon the king to help. This is the beginning Seron. The brother is law of Oedipus informs that the oracle at Delphi has said that the plague will end if the murder of the former king Laius is discovered. Oedipus promises to find the murderer. The old blind stage Parisians is invited to speak the truth. Knowing the truth, he avoids to speak. Unknowingly, it was Oedipus who had killed the former king at the crossroad, who also happened to be his father. Oedipus thus had married his own mother. This is the middle and the turning point in the drama. Oedipus rushes into the chamber of his palace, finds his wife, mother hanging and dead with one of her brushes. He blinds himself and goes in exile, an end or catastrophe. The above is a bare outline of the plot. Now, if we were to tell the story, we will be required to reconstruct the sequence of events in a temporal of time order. If would rightly be at the point of Oedipus' birth, when a prophet and a foretold that child, when he grew up, would kill his father and marry his mother. So King Laius handed over the child to a shepherd to be killed. But as things would have it, the child was passed on the kings of Corinth. Oedipus once overheard the old prophecy and decided to leave Cronion. In a skirmish, he fell a stranger at the crossroad and came to Thebes, the city guarded by a sphinx. He answered the riddle. The sphinx died. The city was liberated from the plague, and people nominated Oedipus as the new king. He answered riddles. The sphinx died. See why this part is been explained in deep. So further you will be coming to know how this plots, how the picture is being plotted, so that in deep how the elements are taking place step by step. They have shown in this. He's trying to explain. Okay, just as note that play begins at the point, and the details of the event are given by the chorus in a flashback. म्हणजे मग परत flashback. What is a flashback of a sort? The example help us to understand difference between. You can take in front of any movies flashback. एखादी गोष्ट पटकन सुरुवातीला दाखवली जाते आणि त्याच्यानंतर आफ्टर 20 years, आफ्टर 15 years, दॅट इज अ आफ्टर द फ्लॅशबॅक इट इज बीन सीन, जे त्याला फ्लॅशबॅक म्हटलं जातं. The example help us to understand why this flashback is mentioned. See further, this helps us to understand the difference between the plot and the story, the reality. Okay, if the dramatist has wanted to tell a story, he would have started with the birth of Oedipus, but true of the structure of a tragic plotting म्हणजे plotting जो आहे, प्लॉटचा जो प्लॉटिंग प्रकार जो आहे, it is being explained in these few lines. Okay, and shows the curve of his fall, the king turning into a beggar, म्हणजे राजावरून तो भिकारी झाला आंधळा. म्हणजे see the example he have stated described in the while explaining for your course. A German critic. आता क्रिटिक म्हणजे काय की एखादी चांगली गोष्ट चाललेली आहे राज्यामध्ये किंवा जगामध्ये, पण छेडछाड किंवा एखादी गोष्ट एखाद्याला नाहीच आवडत, सो यू शुड क्रिटिसाइज इट. काही कारण असू, म्हणजे उगाच त्याच्यावर काहीतरी शेर शायरी करायची किंवा criticism करायचा. Criticism also we are going to learn it further. You will come to understand criticism. Critic is the word critic itself is been explained in that way. So don't take it why I have explained here critic what it means, because you are going to learn step by step. आता तुम्हाला क्रिटिकचा थोडासा अर्थ कळला, पुढे क्रिटिसिझम पण आपल्याला शिकायचं आहे, तर त्यामध्ये आपल्याला डीप मध्ये जायला लागेल. इट्स अ normal thing. Okay, so you have to just understand. आत्ता पुरतं थोडंसं लक्षात ठेवा. Freytag talked about the development of dramatic action as a pyramid. The curve he described is called Freytag pyramid. Though subsequent critics have argued, म्हणजे थोडक्यात argument, that it does not सॅटिस्फॅक्टरीली हेल्प. एखाद्याला नाही आवडत गोष्ट चांगली चाललेली, वाईटपणा वाटत असेल मनातून, तसं होऊ शकतं. इट इज कॉल्ड क्रिटिसिझम. Freytag describes these stages, namely rising action, climax and falling. Climax and falling म्हणजे the figure below gives a dramatic representation stages of Freytag's pyramid. So how it is? It has shown in a triangle form. Okay, explosion and what is the explosion of the movie, rising action, climax, and then a falling action. It is, and then the end of the story. It is only a, this is Freytag. Freytag describes the stages, 3 stages. You should remember, they can ask you to explain for in the exam also. Okay, what is a Freytag? If we take now, see, we are taking step by step. You will try to understand the concept of Julius Caesar. छोटे छोटे कन्सेप्ट घेतलेले आहेत. आता जुलियस कायझरचं त्यांनी छोटंसं एक्सप्लेन केलंय. अगोदर वेगळी गोष्ट होती, आता परत दुसऱ्या गोष्टीत त्यांनी कसं हे दिलेलं, म्हणजे सम शॉर्ट पॅटर्न विच आर मोर इंटरेस्टेड इन डिस्क्रायबिंग द प्लॉट, ते कसे मेन्शन केले ते आपल्याला छोट्या छोट्या धड्यांवरनं घेतलेलं. इफ वी टेक जुलियस कायझर by Shakespeare and as an example, she has given as an example the first scene, Rome, a street and a part of the second scene stands for the explosion. The action begins to rise in the conspiration led by Cassius trying to win Brutus. Okay. To their side, Brutus is convinced at the last at the action has to its explain the murder of Caesar at the Capitol. Act 3 मध्ये त्यांनी काय दिलंय? Scene 1चं confusion followed. The conspiration, the suspicion, the suspicious of anatomy. And they try to organize their forces. It is at the point that following action begins. In Julius Caesar, the following action is relatively longish. The wrangling among the conspiration war between the conspirators and Antony's forces and final rise of young Octavius. Caesar ends the play as a contrast of Freytag's pyramid. We can study the shape of a well-made play mapped by J.L. Sakian. Okay, see how further they have described after J.N. Stalin. Dramatic experience. How he has plotted. पहिल्यांदी त्यांनी पिरामिड फॉर्म मध्ये दिलं, आता यांनी ग्राफिकल रिप्रेझेंटेशन मध्ये दिलं आहे. ऍक्ट 1, ऍक्ट 2, ऍक्ट 3, ऍक्ट 4. मग त्यांनी त्याच्यामध्ये काय केलंय की पहिल्यांदी त्याला ते डिग्री मेन्शन केलंय. डिग्री ऑफ इंटरेस्ट कॉम्प्लिकेशन, एक्सपोजन, देन क्रायसिस केम आणि denouement. Whenever a question is asked on this type of, you have to do it by this all. You have to describe the graphical representation also, and also the pyramid also. Okay. तर काहींना असं वाटत असेल विद्यार्थ्यांना की सर हे काय मॅथ्स चाललंय का आपला इंग्लिशचा लेक्चर चाललाय. बट in real fact it's a way of firstly a graph being plotted, so it's a kind of learning a plot how drama is set. So you have to mention during your exam when a question is asked on this. Aristotle divided plots into two kinds. See, first the simple and the complex. When the action proceeds as a continuous whole and the change in the fortune of the central character takes place without perspective or discovery, we have a simple plot. On the other hand, when such a change takes place by involving one or another or both, we have a complex plot. As we began to study Western drama, we also note that in some plays, especially Elizabethan plays, during the period of Queen Elizabeth. Now, what is this Elizabethan play? म्हणजे आपल्याला आता काही कन्सेप्ट अशा थोडेफार मागे जाऊन शिकायचं आहे की these are been mentioned in your syllabus, की आपण त्याचा आपण ऍक्च्युली अभ्यास करणार आहोत. त्याचा 1558-1603 have what we call a double plot. This is a characteristic of many comedies and Assio's laughter provoking complications called comic intrigue. In tragedies, it is rather rare, but in Shakespeare's King Lear, the double plot reveals the dramatist's great achievement. The plot woven around the central characters is termed the main plot. Lear's story here, whereas the subplot is related to the story of a subordinate character. Glaciator's story is our example. Okay, the main and the subplots are originally related, and the dramatist employs them to show different levels of which the action operates. We have to consider now one more idea pronounced by Aristotle. He thought that it was absolutely essential to ensure cohesive of the plot. The famous idea of the three unities, that is the unity of action, of time, and of a place. Aristotle argued that dramatic action be confined to one's place and it should cover a period of single revolution of the sun or 24 hours. In periods subsequent to Aristotle, criticized and back, scholars are never tried of debating as to what he actually meant. Aristotle probably felt that if the dramatic action moved from a place to another and covered many days, it would demand a stretching of the imagination on the part of the audience and would make that believe dramatic representation in the classical period. The principle of unities was strictly followed. The classists subscribed to it without fail. It developed into a rule or a regulative principle, surprising the final blow to the unities came from a confirmed neoclassical Dr. Samuel Johnson, 1709 to 84 in his preface of Shakespeare. Shakespeare does not म्हणजे in this you will come to understand that in that period if you will go little in back if you will try to understand is that जसं आपल्याकडं एखादा पूर्वी कसं असायचं की लोक गावाकडं गावाकडच्या गेलात गावाकडे तर तुम्ही बघाल की यू विल सी दॅट कम टू अंडरस्टँड सम फ्लोक पीपल वर देअर and they used to come and they used to act in for the villagers as a story. म्हणजे थोडक्यात कसं की एखादा फोर्ड जसा उभारला गेलेला असतो की तो एक फोर्ड त्यावेळेसचा जो आपण आत्ताचा म्हटला तर दे हॅव बीन एक्सप्लेनिंग दॅट ओके ड्रामाज कंपोज्ड विथ अ स्ट्रिक्ट observance to unities. It must be realized, represent one kind of trend. It, however, does not exhaust all the possibilities of dramatic art. We must understand that drama, like all lokanatya, all art is largely a matter of convention. The theater itself is a convention that we assume it to be a symbolic copy of life. So the time and place referred to in drama or theater ought not to be mistaken for time and place in reality. As we usually understand it, the theater creates a deliberate illusion of reality or make believe. It is highly organized, of course. The representation or intimation, as Aristotle would insist, tends to be compact and selective. Logical, therefore, it is possible to sequence years or even generations of human experiences into theater time, that is the actual time of performance. The artistic selection of includes and their well thought out distribution is in same and time as the mean. That a drama or a narrative has a characters are persons that is men and women as they are represented on the stage. Characterization stands for the way or the method by which they are so projected. Characters also means a brief, usual humorous sketch of a person. We do not use the word character in this sense here, in a drama or a narrative, the person represented shown certain qualities, moral or emotional. They are like in the man and a woman who we see around us. म्हणजे जसं but are a different in important ways. Since drama or a narrative as a plot that is a pattern of event, it must have human agents to carry the plot forward. These human agents are characters for Aristotle. As we have noted, plot is the soul of tragedy. Therefore, of him, characters are subordinate merely the agent Aristotle words, for it is a ethos, a set of moral qualities. What do you mean by ethos? Set of moral qualities. Means to have this character, you should have something with you. You should have an ethos. You should have a good quality in your mind. Aristotle does not use the term in the modern sense by character. We mean, we mean not only distinct personality features, म्हणजे फक्तच पर्सनॅलिटी असली म्हणून चांगला आहे असं नाही, बट इट ऑल्सो हॅज अ सर्टन सायकोलॉजिकल टॅप, मोटिवेशन, काहीतरी त्याच्यात पाहिजे, पर्सनॅलिटीचं पाहिजेच पाहिजे, काहीतरी करण्याची वृत्ती पाहिजे, काहीतरी ॲटिट्यूड पाहिजे, आणि साधारण यू शुड बी जनरल इमोशनल डिपोजिशन, म्हणजे हाऊ शुड बी अ कॅरेक्टर बी. ओके, these expectations are relatively recent and post romantic. ओके, थोडस स्वभाव प्रेमळ पण पाहिजे. Aristotle belonged to the classical world. See the word classical world, in which community was at the center and not the individual. So the kind of interest we have in a character was unknown to him and to his time. म्हणजे त्या काळचा त्यांनी जो माणूस नेमला होता, म्हणतो ना आपण, की एखाद्याला ऍक्ट करायचंय, की मला याच्यात सहभाग व्हायचा, हाऊ यू कॅन, तुझ्याकडं काय क्वालिटीज पाहिजे, तुझ्याकडं साधा ऍक्ट करायचं म्हटल्यावर तुझ्याकडं काहीतरी क्वालिटी पाहिजेत ना. तर त्या काळी सुद्धा त्यांना हे या गोष्टींना सामोरे जावं लागत होतं. नुसतं एखाद्याला धरलं आणलंय पकडून आणि चल तू गा, तो गाणं गा, असाचा भाग नाही आहे. सो in that time also they had these symptoms. So the kind of interest we have in the character was unknown to the unknown to him and to his time also. But borobar, the concept of character has undergoes many changes. मग आता नंतर कॅरेक्टर्स मध्ये काही काही चेंजेस पण झालेले आहेत, because of the our ideas of human nature have also involved. When we read or see the performance of a drama, we interpret the behavior of the person in terms of their motives, stated or concealed, what they say, what they do not, and they have the interact with each other gives a clue to understand them. Usually the characters also develop in the scene that they grow. That is, their activities in the course of the unfolding of the plot bring about changes. Simply stated, the characters at the beginning of the drama does not remain the same as the end approaches. The person learns from experience. म्हणजे माणूस, एखादा व्यक्ती कशाने शहाणा होतो, त्याच्या अनुभवावर, gains in the understanding of the world and become mature. Whatever the final outcome be, such a character would be called a dynamic, as against the static, the one that continues to cherish the initial qualities. E.M. Foster, in Accepts of the novel, distinguish between flat and around characters. A flat character is said in form by a single idea or quality and has no individualizing details. The round character, on the other hand, is much too complex and has a particularly an intricate motivation. In traditional criticism, flat characters was called a type. The earliest play characters were such types of rather personification of ideas or qualities. म्हणजे कॅरेक्टर जसं आपण जर बघितलं की पर्सनिफाईड ड्युरिंग इफ यू विल सी कम अक्रॉस एनी रिसेंट एनी ऍक्टर इन फ्रंट ऑफ युअर आईज की एखादी की एखादा थोडस त्या एखाद्या कॅरेक्टर बद्दल चर्चा जास्त होणं पण कॅरेक्टर नंतरच्या पिरियडला वाटतं ह्या कॅरेक्टर मध्ये एवढं काय असं फार लोक याचं नाव काढतात का बरं याचं फार असं आहे सो दॅट इज अ टाईप म्हणजे की एखादं तुम्ही कॅरेक्टर घेतलं डोळ्यासमोर की वाय इट इज व्हॉट क्वालिटी वॉज विथ हिम की एखादं तुम्ही हे जरी घेतलं एखादा आपल्या कॅरेक्टर मध्ये एखादा समोर एखादा हिरोचं जरी चित्र आणलं डोळ्यासमोर तर यू विल कम टू नो अक्रॉस द एक्झॅक्ट टाईप की व्हॉट इज द डिफरंट इन दॅट अर्लियर स्टेप you will come across. Okay, a fairly large number of variations were possible. Even with Ben Jonson theory of humorous based on primitive medicines is not to be argued to be an extension of the notion of the type characters. It is a tragedy, as Aristotle pointed out there, a central character, the protagonist or the hero or a heroine. आता आपण हिरो आणि हिरोईन कडे आलेलो आहे. नाउ आफ्टर अ कॅरेक्टर वी आर गोइंग टू लर्न अबाउट द हिरो अँड अ हिरोईन. म्हणजे एखाद्या चित्रपटामध्ये हिरो काय असतो आणि हिरोईन काय असते तो प्रकार आहे की एखादा आपण मगाच्या सांगण्याच्या दृष्टीने आय वुड लाईक टू टेल यू दॅट इफ यू लुक टू देवानंद हा हिरो होता की त्याच्यामध्ये काय असं लोक एवढं नावाजलेलं आज सुद्धा त्याच्याकडे हे आहे की त्याचं एखादं गाणं बघितलं की हात हलवणं आणि चालणं वगैरे की तो जो टिपिकल टाईप वॉज बीन एक्सप्लेन इन दोज डेज की तो प्रकार आहे. ओके, ही इज टोटली लार्जर देन ऍक्च्युअल मॅन ॲज अ नोन टाइम. ही नीड नॉट टू बी पॅरागॉन ऑफ virtue of quality. Since tragedies, anxieties, pity, and fear, the tragic hero is a projected that is misfortune is caused by initiate error or lapse. Technical called hamartia, tragic fault, pride, or an error of judgment. आता तसं tragic or a judgment, ever often an equally strong character may have stand in opposition to a protagonist. Such a character is called the antagonist. It is the antagonist is evil or inclined to cruelty and criminal deeds. He or she is called a म्हणजे एखादा पिक्चर मध्ये हिरोईन आणि हिरोईन असली की विलन असलाच पाहिजे त्यातली ही गोष्ट आहे. ओके, येस, ओके, till here we will stop for today and for the further lecture we will continue tomorrow. Thank you.